Good morning, good afternoon. We are in our second week for Primo V, Become an Expert. This series is running from September to December 2021. So our session this week is called How Primo Works. These first two sessions are introductory, and then after this, we'll get more into the configuration, the nitty-gritty, the details of the configuration, your options, where to go, how to do it, as we move through the rest of this series. Excuse me. Okay, today's session, let me get over here. There we go. It's titled How Primo Works. My name is Jenny Draeger. I'm a training services consultant with Ex Libris. We do welcome questions during the session. I have Lori from Primo Support here helping me out to answer your questions. If you send them in to all panelists using the chat feature in WebEx, she'll be answering as much as she can. If your questions are too, so if they're really specific to a specific situation, we can't always answer those, but we'll answer what we can. And what we can't, I'll put in a Q&A doc that'll be available on the dashboard for the series. So we'll get them answered one way or the other. This is our agenda for today. We're going to start with looking at resources in Primo, Alma, and CDI. And then we're going to go on to how search works. We're going to then look at how ranking works, and then the user experience and what can be edited there. So what you have in your environment, you have your library collections consist of data you have in your institution zone. Now, some of you may have a network zone, so that inventory is also part of it. Which includes records that have been loaded into Alma and also records that have been activated from the community zone. And then we have Primo V configured to serve as the discovery interface for all of these materials. Now, as you maintain your local records in Alma, they get indexed and are available for viewing within 15 minutes in the Primo user interface. It doesn't always take that long, but occasionally, it can take up to that amount of time. Doing a quick check here. There we go. Okay. So there we go. Now we also have the Central Discovery Index. So the Central Discovery Index, or the CDI, you'll hear people just shorten it to that acronym, CDI. It's an index of 4.5 billion electronic resource citations, along with their metadata that provides context for those citations. CDI works with Alma and Primo to allow users to discover and access electronic resources. First of all, Ex Libris ingests electronic collections and titles into the knowledge base in the CDI. Then we also ingest article level metadata from many different sources, publishers, vendors, providers, and deduplicate that metadata in the CDI. During your implementation, your electronic resources were activated to facilitate linking to full text for both open access repositories and subscription databases, whichever you activated. At the same time, your active electronic resources were matched to the metadata in CDI to ensure that the correct availability statements display for each result. And this allows your users to search the Central Discovery Index, retrieve full text results in discovery based on your subscriptions. It's a very quick search, a very quick response, and then to have that accurate, whether it's available or not, show up. Now, as you maintain your electronic resources, moving forward, when electronic collections are activated in Alma, both components used for discovery and delivery are activated at one time. That one activation activates them in both places in Alma and the Central Discovery Index. The activations in the full text appear immediately in Discovery, while updates to the CDI activations, that article level metadata, may take up to 48 to 72 hours to take effect. So remember that in your testing. Okay, we're going to go out of here and go into Primo. And I'm going to do a search here for Bio-Linguistics. We're seeing those, search suggestions come up. We're seeing these library search profiles show up as well. So I want to search Bio-Linguistics in the library catalog scope. So what do we see here? We've got 4 results, okay? We have a journal, a book, another book, and another book. Some of these are electronic books, some are print. So if we start with this book here, the Language Instinct Test, I could see it's available on the shelf. So it's a print resource, I know that. And if I come in here and take a look at it a little more closely at the full record, I can also see here from the brief result that it's over at my graduate library. So which library I'm at. Come on, click, let me in here. This is hanging up. There we go. Okay, so if I look at this right now, I cannot do anything. I'm being prompted to sign in. But if I do sign in, what am I going to see? I'm going to see some options that are available to me that now that Primo knows who I am, it's allowing me to request, allowing me to ask for a digitization, maybe do some interlibrary loans, some resource sharing, some other options here. I can also see my location. I can see that the item's in place. Where I really want to draw your attention to down here in the details section is this. We have a local note, and that's a 920 in my bib record, and it says do not use. So if I come into Alma, and I'm going to do the same search for linguistics. And here's the Language Instinct Test. I can see here's my inventory, grad library, grad location, on shelf. So all that is the same. I'm going to go into edit my record. So I'm going to open up this bibliographic record, the metadata record in the MD editor. And there's that 920 do not use. So to get rid of it, I could go up to editing actions. I can click remove field, or I can use the shortcut Control F6. I'm just going to use that menu item since I'm right here. So I've removed it, and now I need to save the record. So I could click save with a Control S. I could save and release the record. Remember, releasing the record, that will also get it out of my work area, my queue over here. So that is, I'll do that with my keys, Control Alt R. So that saves the record, my change, and it releases it. Now, this is where this might not show up right away. I did clear my cache this morning. Sometimes there we go. It went away immediately. So now, as quickly as I made that change, the tag disappeared from here. So this is an example of, where clearing that cache can help as you're testing things out. Okay, and if we go back and look at let me come back here and search here. Because when we did the search, back to results, we had 4 results here. And when we did the search in Alma, we got 5 results, and I'm going to explain why. These 2 sets might not always be exactly the same because you could have additional resources that might be suppressed and such. But I'm going to show you exactly why we got one more result here in this environment in Alma as opposed to Primo. We'll start with looking at down here. Sorry, I'm just making sure I am where I want to be here. Okay, so now we're going to look at how the brain evolved language. So this is another ebook. I can see that it's available in print and electronic. So it's showing as one title here. If I come into the result, what do I see here? I see here's those same links from the brief view. And if I come down here a little bit more, I can see here's that access to the electronic book. And here we have more than one copy of this resource sitting in multiple libraries in different locations on our environment. So if we go back to Alma and look at our results, here is the bib record, how the brain evolved language for the electronic book, and here's the bib record for the print book. So they are two separate bib records here in Alma. Now we are using that deduplication feature in Primo, and that is why they're appearing as one here in Primo, and that's why we have the one less, title record, if you will, showing up in Primo. So that is a feature that has been in Primo. We're going to get a little bit more into deduplication configuration later in the series. But looking here, I do want to point out we have the two locations. We see Maine Science. We see their shelf locations. Again, the same availability. So you can see that's up to date. So now let's go look at another result here in our Bio-Linguistics search. And I want to look at this journal. So I'm going to come into the journal. In the full record display, I can see the record itself. Oh, another field I want to point out in this display is where we're getting this record. So this is also coming from the library catalog. It's coming right from Alma. And this journal also has a feature in it. I can see there's a way here to do a search that allows me to search within this journal. If I search in here, all the results will be coming from the Central Discovery Index. I can see we can access this journal through our National Institute of Standards and Technology virtual library. That's the collection that we access this journal, from which we access this journal. So let's take a look. I'm going to grab this title. I want to copy it because I don't want to have to type it. Copy. Let's go look at this electronic collection. Or if I look at, here we go, I could just look at here's the title record for the journal, electronic inventory. Here's that same collection name. Now I can link down to the portfolio. Oh, I can also see that this is coming from the community zone. I see that it's active because the little icon, the little people icon here is blue. If it were inactive, that would be gray, but then it wouldn't be showing up in Primo either. So if I go look at the portfolio level for this electronic journal, I could see it's available. I could see it's a journal. Again, here's that collection, the electronic collection name. It's part of a selective package. So we're seeing quite a bit of information here. Under linking, remember the portfolio level, which I had someone explain to me that a portfolio is like an item record for an electronic resource. And that's what made it finally click in my head. So at that detailed level, that portfolio level, we're seeing the linking information because that's unique to the provider. We are also seeing coverage information. So this provider provides coverage for this journal from 2007 to present. So we can see that other, additional information. If I didn't activate this through acquisition, so I'm not linked to a PO line. So I don't have other information here, but that you can get quite a bit of information out of the electronic portfolio. Okay, so now let's go back to Primo and take a look at what results look like. We looked at library catalog, so now let's go look at what search results look like out in the Central Discovery Index. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this same search of Bio-Linguistics, but I'm going to use the search profile for articles, which is the Central Discovery Index. And remember, we're going to talk about, you can label these anything you like, whatever makes sense to your community. So now look at our results. They've gone up to just a little over 1,000 results. And when we first do a Central Discovery Index search, you'll see everything that shows up is available online. So by default, we are showing, and this search is filtered to items that only have full text. We call this a filtered search. The goal here is that when your users, your searchers come into your catalog and do a search, we want them to be able to get, positive results with, full text online access very easily without any bumps. Now we do offer the feature to expand your results. So if you click on expand your results, or expand my results, I guess is what the label is, look how our number goes up from just over 1,000 to over 3,000 results. So, and what you'll also see is that some of these results do not have full text online access. So we're able to search these additional collections and get these additional results because they were activated in the Central Discovery Index for search. We call this an expanded search. So this is expanded. Unchecking that, that's the filtered search. Everything will have full text access because that's what's activated in your ALMA environment. The expanded search, these items are activated for search. That's why they're showing up here. Now we have two different models when it comes to this expanded search. We have the easy active model, and we also have the fully flexible model. Most of you, the lion's share of you, are using the easy active model. So what does that mean? When you activate a collection in ALMA, the content is flagged as full text available in the Central Discovery Index. By default, most of the collections in the Central Discovery Index are marked available for search in an expanded search. Exceptions include resources that are not free or that require a subscription to search. Very often those are the A&I databases, the abstracting and indexing databases, because that's the product they're selling. So expanded results show everything in the CDI, including the citations to which you don't have full text access. The filtered search, however, is the result of matching between what you have active both in CDI and ALMA, and is going to display the results to which your users can access. Now, the other model in Primo is called fully flexible for Primo V. So the first half of it's the same. When you activate a collection in ALMA, the content is flagged as full text available in CDI. Now, the search activations for the expanded search are only necessary for collections or portfolios that you are not activated for full text, but you still want your users to discover them. They will appear in the expanded search flagged as no full text available. If you came from Primo Central before you came to ALMA and with Primo V, you may have this model in your system, the fully flexible model, because that workflow, that should sound familiar with the Primo Central workflow, when with the Primo back office, how it was completely separate and you had to turn on those items you wanted enabled in the Primo Central Index. If you are using the fully flexible model, you can switch to the easy active setting. If you're interested in doing this, please open a case with support. And also in the resources slide that I have in this PowerPoint, I've got a link to the documentation that goes over this process. So if I go ahead and click on a record that I don't have, for which I don't have electronic access, I do have, let me come down here, like to a journal. Here's a book. This is a good example. And if I click on here, you know, you still have those services available that you can have in your system. So I could ask for this through resource sharing. Maybe I'm going to turn this into a purchase request that'll go into Alma. Maybe I'm going to request an interlibrary loan. So you're still offering services for these resources for your users. And whatever level of, you know, whatever resource, whatever services you wish to offer. We tend to have a lot of things turned on in our training environments, just to show you the what's available. Okay, I want to go to a specific entry. Okay, here's an article, Bio-Linguistics for Bio-Linguistics. I can see this came from a peer-reviewed, it's a peer-reviewed journal with open access. So if I come in here, and what I want to point out is, so this is an article in the journal we just looked at when we were looking at the library catalog. That full text availability, that same electronic collection. But I want to point out down here, the source. Where did we get the source for this article? Where did we get the metadata? We got it from National Institute of Standards and Technology Virtual Library, but we also got it from the Directory of Open Access Journals. So this is just here to show you that we can get the content from multiple sources. We deduplicate it out in the Central Discovery Index, you know, and then how you access it is up to you. This could even be a whole different collection that isn't even part of the sources. They don't all have to match. So let's go take a look. What I want to do is I want to go look at this collection in Alma. So I'm going to change this to an electronic collection search. And I want to look at this electronic collection record and what this tells us in Alma. As I look, come down here a little bit, what do I see? I see the search rights in CDI are free. So that's how it was enabled to search for free, enabled by default. That's where that setting comes from. The vendors tell us this information. I can see the full text rights. If you're accessing this via full text, it's through a link resolver, not a link in record. This is an example. If the search rights in CDI are not free, if it says subscription here, that's typically an example of one of those abstracting and indexing databases. They're not available for search unless you've activated the database in Alma. Often, you know, it's a live subscription because the vendor's selling access to the citations. That's the product to which you're subscribing. So that's why they're required, the subscription is required even for search. Okay, let's go back to Primo. And I want to look at, there's a book, I think it's on the second page, The Continuing Legacy of Nature versus Nurture in Bio-Linguistics. This is the one I want to look at. Here's another article. It's not a book, it's an article. It's again peer reviewed, it's open access. I come into here to look at the environment. Okay, now this example, we can access this article from more than one, you know, we have access it through 3 different collections in our Alma environment. Alma has, when you click on an article, Primo talks to Alma and says, hey, Alma, how can I give, you know, the searcher access to this? And then Alma answers back with any of the options here. I also want to point out, look at the source for this metadata for this article, also coming from ProQuest, 2 different collections, and also coming from Alma, a local collection. And then here's our links up here. Now, I want to show you this in ALMA, and I want you to pay particular attention. See these coverage dates? This is part of that portfolio level. You can see through ProQuest Essentials, we can access this psychonomic bulletin and review. You know, there are different coverage dates here, coverage availability based on the collection. Let's go look at this. I want to go look at this journal though. So I'm going to come back to ALMA. I'm going to do an all title search. And what do we see? Here's our journal at the institution zone, coming from the community zone, activated. Looks good. If I come down here to electronic, there are actually 4 collections in which this journal is activated. 2 of them are named ProQuest Pharma. And then we have the ProQuest Central, Highwire Press. Remember back here, with ProQuest Pharma, there was this available from 2011. This date of this article is 2017. So if we come back here and look at these collections, if I look at ProQuest Pharma collection, this one, and view this collection, and I go to the coverage, this one is 2004 to 2010. So this is the, and that collection is providing that coverage. Now this has the exact same name. Don't blame the messenger here. But this coverage is from 2011 on. So this is actually the collection that is showing, because another thing that happens when ALMA, when Primo goes to ask ALMA where, you know, for those collections, how to access, give me those links to access this resource in the Central Discovery Index, it's checking those coverage dates. So it's showing this one, this one, and this one. It's not showing this one because the coverage dates don't meet the qualification. That article was from 2017. So just a few little things to pay attention to and look at when you're in Primo. This one, there we go. How search works. So that's our next topic. What do we have? Searching in Primo V can use functionality that includes automatic search optimizations, user search optimizations, restricted search and delivery scopes, and then authentication, discovery, and delivery for CDI. So automatic search optimizations are designed to work for the searcher. No actions, they don't have to take any actions to utilize these search optimizations. Some of them, so some of the optimizations include suggested search terms. We saw that autocomplete when we were starting to type in, you know, Bio-Linguistics, or last week when we were typing in things. We can see controlled vocabulary. We're going to see spelling and corrections and synonyms, and then also some stop words. I've got some examples of these here. Also, Primo will expand searches based on word stems, but if Primo does that for you, the original query will be marked more relevant than anything that it is added or taken away, a plural. Also keyword phrase searches. So Primo considers results in terms in close proximity more relevant than the ones that are further apart. So these slides just have a few examples of, here's that autocomplete that shows up when you start to type. If I were to do a search for heart attack, here's a controlled vocabulary example. Primo includes the medical term myocardial infarction in my results. You can choose to not include these with just a click. You could say, nope, I don't want that. Please don't show me those. The suggestions index isn't customizable, but it does contain LC, Mesh, and Wikipedia subject list to provide the expanded search term suggestions. Here's an example. In some cases, Primo will offer spelling corrections. In this case, we misspelled Shakespeare, and we're being given the option to search for the term with the corrected spelling. When the original search term returns less than 15 results, this feature comes into play. In Primo V, this is enabled out of the box, and it cannot be configured. Primo will also include synonyms in the search results under specific circumstances. When there's a digit, Primo will also include results with the number spelled out, and Primo can take US and British spellings into account. So for example, color or color. By default, this functionality is enabled, but it can be disabled if you like. This is an example of CDI's current English stop words. I only have the English ones in this PowerPoint, but there are, we have search words for or stop words for additional situate languages. I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted because I see in the chat, Lori, that is that bot that you can expel that person with all that garbage.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't been able to expel them.
Oh,
so
okay.
do that.
You know what? Hold on. I'm gonna pause the recording because this is bananas. Okay, there we go. We're back in business. Okay, so these are the stop words in English. You'll notice the word will is not a stop word because it has a common secondary meaning as a noun. So in general, CDI ignores stop word inquiries except for phrase searches using double quotes. Then it'll pay attention to them. For the other type of optimizations, we're going to go look at those right in Primo. Over here to Primo. Okay, so I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to just have a nice fresh search. Oh, I don't want to hit that because that takes me out to the Google. There we go. I want to use my library search when I'm here. So we're going to do a search for mushroom in the library catalog. So keyword search for mushroom. And here's another little clue. If you ever do a search, that's a simple search, and you say, hey, how has Primo, deciphered this? If you flip over to advanced search, you can see any field contains mushroom. So it is a keyword search. So that's a little, also a little thing to figure out what's Primo doing here. So let's come back here to the simple search and the results. When I did this keyword search, you can also see the word, that keyword was highlighted in the results. And if I scroll down a little bit for you, you're gonna see that mushrooms. That's that stemming, that optimization that Primo does for you. And if I go into here, mushroom or mushrooms are still in the results, but they're not in the titles. So stemming is not based on a threshold, and it's also useful to include variations of a search term. So that's why we have it enabled. Now, if I don't want Primo to do that for me. So when I did this search, I also want to pay attention to this. I did the keyword search for mushroom. I got 30 results. I say, Primo, please don't do that. I only want you to search exactly what I wanted. So then if I just do the double quotes, so I'm down to 18 results. So that eliminated mushrooms. It got rid of that for you. So now if we go over to advanced search, I like to look at this one too. So what this did was it still left it any field contains mushroom. So that was all the same, just with the quotes. Now I could have also, as an alternative, I could have used the advanced search is exact feature, not use the quotes search. So I still get those same 18 results. So more than one way to achieve that exact search. So let's go back. We're going to go back to simple search. I want to do a simple search using an asterisk. So here's our wild card. So with a keyword search, we're going to get mushroom and mushrooms. That's what that's going to happen, what it's going to do. Now with a asterisk, a wildcard search, this is where we might get mushroomed, mushrooming. So I'm still searching the library catalog, put my wildcard on the end of it. So now we're up to 32 results. Now, because of this, it's not a keyword search anymore. We don't get the highlighted terms. We do have higher number of results. So in some of these records, there are, because it's higher, our original mushrooms was 30. So it looks like there's a couple records here that have something else beside mushroom or mushrooms. But if okay, let's say I say, I want to know what those two records are. We can say mushroom, not mushroom, or I should copy and paste these. Okay, so mushroom with a wildcard, not mushroom or mushrooms. Now, so here's our Boolean search. Remember, this is going to go left to right, so I'm not going to get the results I'm really looking for because I asked for mushroom, not mushroom, or mushroom. So all the plurals are showing up. So to fix that, good old, what we all learned in library school, some of us a long time ago, some a little more recently. So once I put those quotes in, so I want the mushroom with the wildcard, not singular or plural. Here's those books, mushrooming. Those are our results here. We've got a collection and a book. Okay, so that's that example. Now I want to talk about, show you another example of the stemming. And if I do, if I do the longer word mushrooming, what am I going to see? I'm going to see that mushrooming, but then as we go down, these are going to have mushrooms. So we still have 21 results. Only 2 of those, not all the results had mushrooming, but it's adding those other singular and plurals into my results. So the ranking algorithm is going to put those results for the actual term I searched at the top because they're more relevant. I'm going to do another little test here with Boolean operators, ranking, and stop words. Maybe communication. Now, Primo looks at this as a phrase, not an exact phrase, but as a phrase. These 3 words, it's looking for them, and it's looking for all of them, and the ranking is going to put the. Oh, I want to do this in the everything scope. Ooh, there we go. There we go. So what has happened? Primo treats the entire query as a keyword phrase and returns results in which all the words are in close proximity. So they're all in the title, they're pretty close. So that is how that ranking works. Now, if I go back to simple because this doesn't need to be here. If I say honeybee and communication, right now I have 19,268. And see how it also is including honeybee as one word for us. So that's that other little tip it does. Now, if I put in and here, it's going to ignore that. Primo doesn't care if you don't capitalize it. Now, if I capitalize and, my results are going to look a little different. 14,242. So now it's looking for honeybee close together and then communication, but those two don't have to be in such close proximity. It's not as high of a relevance in the ranking. Now, CDI has some restrictions built in, mainly because vendors and publishers are controlling access to their subscription content. So we have two types of authorized users, ones that are sitting on campus and ones that are off campus. Authentication allows us to log in regardless of where we're sitting. So that creates 4 different types of scenarios. You know, if we're sitting on campus, Primo knows where we are. So generally, access is opened up as long as we're on campus. If we're off campus, but we're logged in, then Primo knows who we are and where we are, but not where we are. So that logging in allows the authorization of subscription content. So on the discovery and delivery side, then, our on-campus users, again, what they're going to be able to access when they're on campus versus off campus. And then again, once you're logged in, even if you're off campus, results include all resources active in the CDI, but also may need to log in via proxy for delivery of full text. Now, we also have I wanted to talk about restricted groups. If you determine that you need to have restricted groups set up, you have 2 options: restricting search by user group and restricting search by defining a group of records. So with restricted user groups, you are restricting a group of users from accessing the collection. They can see it, but they cannot access it. So if a user is part of a restricted group, they will not have access unless they're on campus. With restricted search groups, that restricts groups of records from even appearing in the search results for specific users based on IP ranges, the user groups of the user record, registered users, on-campus users. If the user's allowed to search, they'll be able to see the search results from that group. If they're not allowed to search, no search results from that group of records will even appear. Generally speaking, we don't see academic libraries using restricted search groups. Most libraries rely on restricting access to delivery rather than search. So most of our academic libraries use this top option. Some of our corporate libraries use the restricted search groups. Okay, let's move on to our next topic of how ranking works. How can users affect ranking of results, how CDI results are ranked, how local resources are ranked, and how blended results are ranked. So the first one I'm going to look at is I'm going to go back to Primo. And I'm going to do a search. I came up with this search earlier. Health. So kind of a generic term, but I liked this because I put healthcare as one word. Oh, wait a minute. I did it this way. Healthcare cost. Okay, this is what it did. So I put healthcare cost, singular. And so Primo's breaking apart healthcare. And this is, again, it's because results in CDI, it's because of results in ALMA. That's why it's doing this. And it's also putting the plural on here. So it's helping me out a little bit. I can say, nope, don't do that. Just do exactly what I want. But I also wanted to show, since I'm logged in, I have this option here to personalize. And so what this does is, now the results were ranked. Let's go back here. So this very top one, healthcare costs attributed to hypertension. healthcare financing review. So these results were ranked by Primo, our own ranking algorithm. But if I go into this personalized feature, I can say, here are those, came back. I can say, what am I searching about healthcare costs? Am I looking at the psychology of it? Am I looking at the sociology? I'm not looking, at the medical side of it. So what I can do is I can prioritize certain disciplines, certain subjects, and that won't change my number of results, but it will recategorize them. So this is a setting that's based on a user. It's not something you have to do, but just promote it to your users. But it's not something you control in a user record out in Primo. Sometimes the changes aren't significant, but sometimes they can be. So the first thing to note is that results from CDI are going to get handled a little bit differently than your local records. The results in CDI are ranked according to a proprietary algorithm that we're working on and tuning. The algorithm has two components, the dynamic rank and the static rank. So the dynamic rank is a collection of relevance factors that represent how well a search query matches each record. And the static rank is a collection of relevance factors that represent the value or importance of each record. Both of these components are important in determining the ranking of results. The top results need to have good scores from both dynamic and static ranking. Field weighting, what that is what field is the term or term, where is it located in the metadata record? If it's in the title, subtitle, or subject, it's going to get higher weight. If it's in the creator abstract field, it's going to get less weight, but still more than maybe other metadata fields. The full text field is weighted, full text fields is weighted the lowest. With term weighting, if it's a specialized or rare term, it's going to get more weight than a common term. So if you search Yoruba books, the term Yoruba is going to get more weight than the term book, since that's more frequent throughout your results. Term frequency and field length. If the term is repeated within a field, it's going to give it more weight, as well as the length of the data in that field. The verbatim match boost is where the root word and stemming come in. If Primo's expanding the search because of those linguistic features, it's going to rank the exact match to what you entered higher. Phrase and proximity match boost, these apply to phrase searches. And then the exact title and title plus subtitle match boost and known item search boost, these allow for better ranking when there are exact titles to match the query. The static factors are resource type, where items are weighted according to their resource types. Books are weighted higher than book reviews. Articles, like journal articles, are weighted higher than newspaper articles. Publication date, recent items are weighted higher than older items, but the CDI also takes the content type into consideration. For example, the penalty for having an old publication date is higher for articles than for books. Just notice, I want to get that off my screen. There we go. Okay. I don't want that popping up on my screen. Scholarly or peer review articles from scholarly or peer reviewed journals are boosted. Citation counts are used to reward publications with high citation counts. Journal rank, so journal scores and academic journal rankings are also considered. Articles published in highly respected academic journals are boosted according to their journal scores. And then if an author is anonymous, their items are demoted. These factors for records in the Central Discovery Index. So, and it's not just one of these is going to throw everything off. Remember, all of these come into account and can, affect the results. So, don't think, one of those little things is going to blow everything up in your results or your in your ranking. So now we're going to go look at how local results are ranked. And where I want to go look at that is right in ALMA. So in ALMA, if I come into discovery, search config, ranking configuration, this is going to allow us to configure the ranking algorithm to change the order of local records and search results. We have 3 sections here. We have field boosting, date boosting, and resource type boosting. So the field boosting allows you to determine how much weight you want to give your search terms that are found in particular specific fields. We have default fields and boostings here, but you can add, you can edit this. As and if you add a new field, you're just choosing the field and then choosing the boosting factor. If we come down here to date boosting, what we've done is we have boosted our local results. You could do a single year or a range of year. That's what I've done here. To add another one, I could just fill that in, choose the boosting factor. If you want to get rid of it, just delete it. And then we have our resource type boosting. You can give more or less weight to material based on its resource type. You can boost up to 5 different resource types. Now the date and the resource types have more influence and can significantly alter the search results. I also want to, this is one of my callbacks. I always kind of try to promote some of the features in ALMA. And one of them is that help for this page. So if you're in here and you're saying, what is this about boosting again? How does this work? If you just come in here to the help for this page, it's going to open up a new tab in your browser and it's going to bring you right to this piece of the documentation. Okay. So don't forget that feature, one of my favorite features. Now I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint and we're going to look at how blended results are ranked. Now, search profiles that include multiple search engines, like the everything scope in ours, it's searching the CDI and local results. That's called a blended search profile. So by default, CDI results tend to rank higher than local results. So there's an out-of-the-box rule to account for that. So we've got this enabled in your system, looking at the search profile, edit blending configuration for the search profile. So what we've done is we've boosted the local results. Now you can always edit this and make adjustments. Okay, so now we've gotten through that. Our next topic is talking about the user experience. Let's go back to Primo and just go back to the home page. Okay. So first we have the branding of Primo. So colors, fonts, logos, other graphics. The content of the homepage is also customizable via HTML. If I sign out, see when I sign out, that's when it goes to the magic Google. I don't want. Gotta change that sign out link. There we go. Also, if I do a search here, that sign in message, you can alter that, you can change that. These links in the main menu, this navigation menu, these are customizable, what you call them, the order of them, the functions. Very often you'll see that new search, you might have your own LibGuides that you've created, browse, database, collection, discovery, And it can go beyond what's listed up here. Customizing the search options that appear here. Applying some pre-filters to basic searches, which index field you're searching, how you're applying that search, resource type. You can have additional options here. Other messages like tweak your results, things that aren't part of the metadata, labels. You don't want that to be topic, you want that to be subject. That's no problem. You can just change that labels. And these are the kind of settings that we're going to get into. In the brief results, we can configure getting into these facets, which facets appear, the order they appear, if they're going to appear on the left or on the right. Changing that wording for expand my results, changing any of those labels. Changing the metadata that appears here in the brief result. Come on. And in the full result. You can change the order of these sections. We have several out-of-the-box citation managers, so you can enable the whichever one or ones your institution uses. We also have added support for citation style language, so you can implement any of the other citation styles from the CSL official repository. View it and get it sections when I'm logged in. Get back into logged in. You can adjust these services you'll offer, and they can also be conditional. So you could say, hey, if we own this, we're not going to allow you to, you can disable purchase request or resource sharing. If we own it, that's too bad. So you can set those types of conditions on the services you offer. Which tags, which metadata tags appear here in the details section, including those local fields. Remember, I had that 920 showing up here. Local fields can also be indexed for search and used in facets. These aren't all of the customizations options, but they're some of the more common ones. And I'm going to go look at a couple of customer sites to show you a few other features. So I'm going to go to USF, University of South Florida. They have quite a medical community, so I knew I'd get something here. What they have enabled here is this is called about the topic. So this is a reference entry that shows up at the top of your results with a short overview and a full text link to an article that contains reference information based on that user's search. The reference appear, you'll see how it appears predominantly. You can also see where this reference entry, where it originated. Entries can come from a variety of publishers, including Encyclopedia Britannica, Credo, Gale Virtual Library, Oxford University Press, World Book, and Wikipedia. There's another option I want to show you over here. And at Northeastern University, they have enabled another, we have recommended resources. And if I come in here and I search health. So these are suggested resources or recommended resources. Sorry about that. They can include databases. Oh, these are all databases. They can include a suggested resource might be a subject specialist, a librarian on your staff. It might be links to LibGuides. This one had a research subject guide now. You can even make one for library hours. So if you type in library hours, it pops right up and tells you what your library hours are here instead of having to go elsewhere in your website. So these can be people, LibGuides, library hours, databases. You can even make custom labels. I always like to show off a couple of customers in my presentations. I did put together a few specific pieces of documentation and links to documentation for you. Just a general link to the Primo V documentation, a link to ALMA search indexes, configuring search indexes in ALMA, switching from fully flexible to easy active. That was if you are, if your Primo V is using the fully flexible model and you want to switch to that easy active, it is a one-way trip. You can't go the other way. Also Go V, if you are using Primo, but not Primo V, I put a link into that as well. So if you're interested in migrating, and then also a link to that resource recommender documentation. See if you like that. And remember, you can enable these things, and if you don't like them, you just disable them. It's not the end of the world. You could have a test view right in your live environment because you can have multiple Primo views. So you can, you know, do that as well. You can have that test view to test out some of these features. I see there have been a lot of questions coming in over the session. So Lori's been answering them diligently. Thank you so much, Lori. I'll grab this chat and I'll work on writing those up. Were there any, is there anything I need to go back to? Okay, I know we're just scratching the surface here, but as we move through the next sessions, we're going to get a little bit deeper. I am going to put a plug in. We do have a team called Premium Services. These are paid services. If you need one-on-one help, workflow optimization, configuration, individualized training, the trainings that my team does, you know, they're open to the entire user community. They're free. But these are more individualized options if you need. When you exit, you will get a survey that appears. I read all the suggestions, and I really work hard at working any suggestions into my presentations. So we appreciate that. We went just a little over an hour today. As we get in deeper, these might go a little bit longer. We do have these sessions blocked out for an hour and a half, just so that we're not cutting in and racing to finish. So they've been designed to be a little longer on purpose. Thanks so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Lori, for your support. And we'll see you next week.